Hi, and welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. Today we have a special guest, none other than the lovely and beautiful, my wife, Liz Houser. She's going to talk about something that kind of has been on her heart recently. Hope you enjoy. We'll talk to you soon.
Hello, and welcome to the Kale Houser Leadership Secrets podcast. My name is Liz, and I am the amazing and beautiful wife of Kale, and I'm really excited to come on here and be a guest speaker and to share with you a couple of my stories of not so good leadership and how we can do as leaders much better. So, why do people quit a good job? Right, so people go into a job mainly, one, to get a paycheck, and two, so that they provide value, believing they provide value with their skills in a new work environment, right? They feel like they're a good fit for it, they're going to enjoy it, and it's going to be right along lines of what they know how to do. Now, what keeps a person staying in their job is the people that they work with, whether their boss, they love their boss because their boss is really good at communicating, good at connecting, they feel valued, or their coworkers, like they get along really well and gel well and click well with their coworkers, and they work well as a team. So flipping that around, the number one reason that people quit a good job, beyond just the circumstances that you can't help, needing to move and a sickness or things like that. But the number one reason that people quit a good job is because of the people they work with. So that would be two types of people. One, they quit because they don't get along with their boss. Perhaps their boss doesn't appreciate them. They feel undervalued. They feel like they can't trust their boss, or their boss doesn't trust them. He's always micromanaging. He tells them to do something, and then he's constantly watching over their back to make sure they do it right. And then the second reason is your coworkers. Like, maybe you don't get along with your coworkers. Maybe you're just constantly bickering. Perhaps it feels like even a hostile environment where they are very unkind to you. They're always looking at ways to trip you up or get you in trouble. And that is just not a good place to be. You feel stressed. You're not enjoying coming to work, and you're bringing that stress home. And people get to a point like, this isn't worth it for the paycheck that I'm getting. I need to go somewhere else where it's healthier for me. So I want to share with you two specific stories of two jobs that I've had where I actually left my job for these two specific reasons. Jobs that I was, for the most part, enjoying and feeling like I was bringing good value into them. So my first job, this is a story about my boss. And one of my first jobs I had just coming out of college was working at Hagen's. And it is a local chain grocery store, and I worked at the corporate office. I helped out in the advertising department. I actually really enjoyed it. I got to be kind of the person in charge of editing the ads, right? So if there was anything wrong with it, it was probably my fault, but I was really good with editing and checking the copy and connecting with the each of the grocers to make sure I had all the pictures and the copy, things like that. So I really enjoyed it. I felt like I did a bang up job each week, and I just put my best into it. So it really surprised me when one day my boss, who was the director of advertising, pulled me into his office. Now, the funny thing is my boss hardly ever talked to me, and so I figured, well, if he doesn't talk to me, I guess I must be doing a good job, right? Because his office was literally right across from where I was at. So when he pulled me into the office, I was like, what's going on? And I'm just racking my brain going, what did I do wrong? I'm pretty sure I'm doing everything right. And he let me know that I had done something that didn't align well and correctly with the company. And being new, just out of college and new into the corporate, I did not recognize or realize that I'd done this wrong thing. So of course I was immediately like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't know that. I'm more than happy to change that. Thank you for bringing that to my attention, which that part was not a problem. What I didn't like was the fact that he actually knew about me doing this a week prior, but he took an entire week to tell me because he wanted to track all the times that I made this mistake over and over and over again. And immediately my brain goes, oh my gosh, I've been doing something wrong for the past week, and he literally watched me do it. That made no sense to me. It made me feel like he didn't trust me. I had done nothing wrong in the past to show that I wasn't a good, hard worker and a trustworthy worker. So it really degraded my trust in him, and it just made me feel really unrespected, undervalued, and underappreciated. And he didn't really ever once come out and tell me that I was doing a good job. I thought I was doing amazing, but he just didn't take the time to appreciate me. So one thing that I've learned from that would have really turned things around, because after that, I went and I looked for another job. I actually was enjoying the job. I thought I was doing great, but a week later, I turned in my 2 weeks notice and moved on somewhere else because I did not appreciate being undervalued and being treated like I was untrustworthy when I had no reason for him to feel that way. So what I would encourage you to do, if you're instead of taking a week's time to talk to your employee when they do something that is out of line with your core values, with your standards, with your procedures, take care of it right away. Pull them into your office, have a personal and private talk with them. Don't make it a big thing with the whole office, but just talk with them personally. Let them know what they did wrong, what they need to do to fix it, make sure they understand, and then let them change. And if, for whatever reason they still continue to do it incorrectly, or they still continue to step out of bounds, then, have those standard operating procedures to know, okay, now we're doing the written notice, and now we're doing the, whatever notice that comes after that, to the point where okay, you really have no desire to change, so now it's time to let you go. But have those have those available so that you know what those procedures are and you can follow them right away. Because nobody wants those things sitting over their head, and now you're worried about talking to them. Just take care of it right away. And then the second thing that could have been done differently is, as a boss, as a supervisor, you want to make sure that you're connecting with your teams on a daily basis, even if it's just a, hey, good morning, how you doing? Or, I hope you had a good weekend. How was that ski trip that you went on? Just taking that few extra minutes to connect with them and let them know that you care. And one of the biggest things too is taking time to show them that you appreciate them by just saying thank you. Thank you so much for your hard work. Thank you for working late to help us meet our guideline. Thank you for the skills that you bring. You do such amazing work, and I appreciate you so much. That just goes a long way. Just even saying one of those phrases, on a daily or weekly basis, just letting them know that you appreciate them. And so my second story is with a coworker. So we've got 2 boys, and I was a stay-at-home mom until they started going to school. And when they started going to school, I thought, okay, it's time for me to go and get a job. And I realized, well, the best job for me to get that works well with their school schedule is to be a teacher's assistant. So I went off to be a teacher's assistant with the kindergartners. And oh my gosh, first of all, helping out in kindergarten is like trying to herd cats. They are just the sweetest things ever, but you can't get them to stand in line straight to save your life. But anyways, I loved them and I adored them, but they were a bit of a challenge. And there were times when the teacher that I was helping out, she would leave me with them all by myself, and some of the kids were really, really rambunctious, and they had to be kept in line, and she was very good at that. But she never taught me how to do that. I knew how to come in and love them, how to help them, how to keep things organized. But when they started flipping out, I could not figure out how to get control of them. There was one particular time when she was in a meeting right next door, and I had to take care of the kids, and they were screaming. I couldn't get them to get under control. I didn't know how to handle it. I was not well prepared for that, and I wasn't well trained for it. And the very next day, I brought it to her attention. I was like, I need some help understanding how to do this. And she basically said that it was my job to already know how to do it. She kind of threw me under the bus, essentially, and basically said that I was an embarrassment to her, that she was embarrassed that I couldn't keep her classroom under control. And that was the first time that I really felt like I was in kind of a hostile environment. I was like, this isn't okay for me to be in some position where somebody is really being mean to me in this way. And so I've always given a 2-week notice. This was the one time when I went in and I gave a 2-day notice, and I was like, I'm sorry, but this is not safe for me to be in with this teacher. She is very unkind. She's made it known that she doesn't want me around. But what was interesting is, one, I wasn't really trained well for that position, not at all actually, and two, we were communicating totally fine up until that point, and she would tell me about her life, and I never got any indication that she was upset with how I was doing things, or there'd be times when she'd say, hey, I need you to do this instead with the kids, and so I would do my best. But not having the training, I didn't know exactly how to do it. But when that situation happened, she immediately turned on me, and it really rocked my world. I was like, what happened? I've shown myself to be a caring, loving, and helpful person, and the fact that she didn't feel like she could talk to me about it was really hurtful. And so 2 things that I bring out at that: when you are a leader, when you're a supervisor, even when you're an owner of a company, you really want to help your teams work well together. And that is, one, encouraging them to communicate with each other, even through conflict, whether you come into it to help them through it, but you want that open communication so that everybody feels like if there's something that's not clicking right, they're approachable and you can talk with them about it. And you want to encourage them to be able to problem solve, not just be like cats and all of a sudden, everything goes crazy, right? Which is how it goes sometimes with ladies. And then, the second thing is providing the appropriate training. Like, how huge and important is that? If I had been provided the appropriate training to understand how to discipline kindergartners who were not honestly very disciplined at home, because there was a bit of a low-income families, and so there were some behavioral issues there that I was not prepared to deal with, that would have helped so much more. But there wasn't that training. I couldn't even ask for it. There wasn't even anything to teach me except for the teacher to take time to teach me. So those are some things that I learned in my working experience of making sure, and you want to keep good employees, right? So how do you keep good employees? When you make sure that they feel comfortable, that they feel welcome, they feel valued in your company. And you also want to make sure that there's good relationship with you as their boss, as their leader, their manager, and also they feel comfortable with their coworkers, that they mesh together, they work well as a team, they communicate well together. So I hope this was helpful, and I hope that as you step out and learn to be a more confident leader, that you realize how very important relationships are and connection. And that's something that we strive to do in Kale Houser Leadership, is encouraging connection, encouraging relationships, because that is where true leadership is made. All right, guys. I look forward to seeing you again. Have a wonderful and amazing day. And as Kale says, no matter where you are in the world, we love you and we thank you for connecting with us.